Hey folks, Mel the Terrain Shooter here with another terrain showcase for you. Now with all terrain showcases, I'm going to be taking you through a recent build and I'm going to be pointing you in the direction of the various tutorials on my channel so you can give it a go at building it yourself. Now the build itself was quite a special one. Recently I got contacted by SEGA's Creative Assembly to produce a terrain set to help support the launch and marketing of their new PC game, Total War Warhammer, so it's a bit of a big one. Quite, it sort of barreled me over when they told me and they got in touch, but, we barreled on. Now, the real challenge was it was a really short deadline, so there were a lot of long days and a lot of all-night sessions involved. The downside of that is I didn't get to take as many photos as I would have liked, so we're just going to have to run with what we've got. So let's go and have a look at the terrain build and I'll take you through it. The build itself was based on an iconic scene within the game itself, the Battle of Blackfire Pass. And so we used these images to get a rough idea. The terrain build had to include a number of key elements to tie it into that scene in the game, which included obviously the Dwarven stronghold, the towering thunderous cliffs, the pouring lava over the edge and the Obsidian Crystals. But because we couldn't guarantee what sort of table it was going to be deployed on, we took the decision to lighten the palette. Yeah, so it was a more generic build, so it would be more suitable to various different setups and show off better in a larger event hall where lighting may be an issue, etc. The first element to be tackled were the cliffs, and we decided what we wanted was a modular setup so we could create a valley effect with the Dwarven Forge in the corner of the table, but at the same time deploy it to various different sized tables. The cliffs were carved out of high-density foam and carved in such a way as they appeared to be encroaching in on the table, which was a key feature of the stock footage and would also allow the streaming lava to fall directly over them onto direct to the baseboard. If you're interested in how I actually created the cliffs, there's a tutorial on the entire process of carving the cliffs in the Hills playlist. Once the cliffs were in place, it was time to tackle the Dwarven Forge. The basic construction was made out of 10mm foam and then detailed with beveling and additional pieces to take on that dwarven look. All the techniques for constructing this are covered in the Using Blue Foam tutorial in the Back to Basics playlist. Once the main elements were done, it was time to tackle the scatter elements. And for the scatter elements, we created a number of crystal clusters and a wood. We also carried the woods and the crystal clusters across to the actual full terrain pieces to tie them in. And we also added the lava effects. And there's a tutorial on the lava effects in the water effects playlist. That brought the entire set together, ready for adding the rubble, texturing the bases, and preparing it for painting. The rocks were dry brushed with progressively lighter greys and browns to give them a consistent rock look. When it came to the lava, first we sprayed on an OSL effect using an airbrush and then went in and actually hit the lava with acrylic paint starting at a base red and progressively blending up to a bright orange in the hot spots. The Obsidian Crystals were painted with a base colour of black with a tint of purple and then edged highlighted with the purple. And when it came to the castle was actually stippled with artistic sponges, coral sponges, to give it a different look to the dry brush cliffs and then weathered with an airbrush. Finally, the entire pieces were flocked and added various clump foliage, etc., ready for the big day down at SEGA. So the big day arrived and I took the set down to the Creative Assembly Studios for their YouTuber day. It was set up in reception and I do apologise for the quality of these pictures. I did the best I could with the light. But please keep an eye out on the Total War Warhammer channels and Facebook page because they're going to be posting lots more high-res pics of this set coming up. So if you want to see it in more detail, keep an eye and make sure you subscribe to their channels. It was an absolutely brilliant day. Andy 2D6 came down to actually play on the set representing the dwarves and got beaten by Eve, who was one of the game developers down at Creative Assembly. Whilst I was down there, I also got a chance to actually play the game. Now, it's been a long time since I played Warhammer Fantasy and probably the same amount of time since I played Total War Medieval War. But I had an absolute blast playing this game. Now, they were keen to point out that this was still alpha and there were still changes to come, but it was really good fun. The game was easy to pick up, it was engaging, I was constantly playing, and without it being
too stressful as a game. Uh, it played like the tabletop game, as I remembered it. It played like my dwarves played, and the tactics I used in the game were the tactics I'd use on the table, and they worked. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. And to be perfectly honest, I'm probably going to check this game out. But what I'm going to do is leave you with a little bit of footage, yeah, and then just say, as always, guys, I hope you've liked the terrain build. It's been an epic project. It's been a manic project. It's been my best project so far for so many different reasons, and I'd just like to give a big shout out to the guys at Create Assembly, and especially Joey, yeah, for being so brilliant, for giving me the opportunity, working with me, and finally, you know, giving me the opportunity to play the game and show me they like the terrain set as much as they did. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with some footage, so enjoy the footage, and I'll see you soon in another video. All the best.